Daddy. Daddy. Until that word was directed to me by my daughters, I never understood the power they had. A word that implies protection, love, intimacy. Today is Father's Day. And our message is not about being a great dad. Our conversation is about lessons learned as a dad. Spiritual lessons that my daughters have taught me. There's a Buddhist saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. One thing I learned about being a daddy is that often children are our teachers, when we will be the student. So let's consider some lessons learned from my daughters. Ever since I can remember, I've always wanted a family. I've always wanted to be a dad. I have no idea where that came from. Growing up in a Catholic family, I did something unusual. I read the Bible. My parents thought that was peculiar. One evening I had finished reading. She sat on my bed. She said, "Rich, do you want to be a priest?" And I remember as clearly and as quickly my response was, "No. I want to have a family." So as years went on, grew up, got married, came to that point where it was time to consider the family. Had some friends who had already made that move, already had some children. I would observe their interactions to get a glimpse of what that might look like. One thing I noticed, they talked a lot about cost. A lot about how much it costs to have this creature. And at this time of my life, I had a very clearly defined, very balanced budget. And if you Google today, cost of raising a child, you'll see that from birth to 17, it'll cost about $241,000, $250,000. Now, this was 23 years ago. It was still more money than I had put aside. I did not have a slush fund. That concerned me. And then I would notice their conversations about lack of sleep. And they looked disheveled. And they looked rough. And I remember thinking, I like sleep. I like a full night's sleep. That concerned me. And then I remember going out to dinner, watching families with young children. I noticed when their food arrived, one of the parents would leave their warm plate and go to that child and begin cutting up their food. Now, I like food. I like my food. I like it hot. I don't only like my food, I like their food. I like chicken nuggets. And that whole idea of letting go of my food, that concerned me. And then there was a time when we would be over a friend's house, and they would have fed their child, holding their child, patting their child. And all of a sudden, like a horror movie, this thing would poop on them. And I would step back and say, "I puked! I puked!" Now, I was not really in favor of being puked on. That concerned me. This last piece I thought about different words we could use, Nancy, to try to discuss. But this is unit, we got to be real. We got to be real. Pat? So here's another thing. Little babies crap. All over the place, Jack. And I remember, there was a very close family friend of ours, and they had a son. His name was William. And I was William's godfather. I was William's godfather. And one day Melanie said, Rich, I've got some errands to run. It'll take about 3 to 4 hours. Can I leave William with you? I said, bring him on. You bring William on, my godson. So she dropped him off. And about an hour and a half, 2 hours into this experience, we were playing, and I sensed something. I sensed that William had cracked. Now I say I sensed that because I had noticed a facial expression. And I noticed there was some voice, there was some tones coming out, you know, and there was a subtle aroma. But here's what happened. I remember clearly. I did not want to confirm what I suspected. I did not want to confirm it. So I just began to play at a distance with William. And eventually Melanie came back. And she took William into the bathroom, and a few minutes later she came back. She said, did you know that William had pooed? Pooed. I was like, you might have crapped. But I can't confirm it. I can't say for sure. But I love William. But see, that concerned me. See, the Bible talks about counting the cost. The Bible says before you venture off, before you head into it, before you undertake a task or a goal or a plan, count the cost. See, and right now I had money, I had sleep, food, puke, and crap. I was counting the cost.
How about housework?
Housework. There was more, right? There was more. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it didn't make sense for me to really move forward in this experience. But you know what? We don't make kids, or kids, we don't make kids. Kids are not a logical decision, are they? They're emotional decisions made with the heart. So on August 22nd, 1990, Taylor Lynn Schlentz showed up. You see, when Taylor Lynn Schlentz showed up, everything changed. Everything changed. I did not care what statistics said about the cost of raising her. Whatever it took, we're going to find a way. I became a light sleeper. I'd wake up in the middle of the night. I think she rolled over. Is she okay? I began to share my food and do little choo-choo sounds, you know? You done? I was puked upon, and I wore it as a badge of honor. Yes, this is puke. It smells good. Man, I was bringing on. And then the crack. All right. I created a song. A short, a powerful song that we used when we changed diapers. We had a changing table. This is what happened. This is what I did with crack. We had a changing table. Tail would be on the table. I grabbed both her feet, like her ankles, 2 ankles with one hand. The other hand had to be free because it needed whiteys. Now, for those of you who don't know, the crack goes everywhere. It's normally not in a nice bundle. So I would take her feet, her ankles with my hand, I'd lift the bottom up off the changing table, I'd take these whiteys, and she knew, she's like, I could tell by her look that she was ready for the song. It's time for the song. Here's the song. You ready for the song? Yeah. Booty to the east, booty to the west. Here's the booty I love best. It's your booty. Yeah, it's your booty. Yeah. I've never sung in the church. Look it up on iTunes. It's the booty song. It's the booty song. So here's what happened. Here's the spiritual principle that Taylor Schlentz came into this world to teach him right away. In no time flat, she was teaching these spiritual principles. And here's the one that showed up then. It is this. Everything you need is here right now. Everything we need is here right now. You see, I didn't need that before. I didn't need the money. I didn't need the lack of sleep. I didn't need to give up my food. I didn't need to get puked upon or clean up crap. But when I needed it, it was all there. I had no idea where it came from. The spiritual truth. When you need something, everything shows up. So about 4 years later, I thought we should do this again. We should do this again. Now the first time, it worked out pretty well. I was a little proud. I'd say I was a little prideful about this whole thing. I had it down. So I thought, well, I'm going to just replicate that. I know how to do this. I'm good at it. I was 1 for 1. Well, 2 years later, no child. So that led to an infertility clinic to find out what might be getting in our way here. We need to figure out what's happening here. And led to drugs and testing and to a conclusion that sounded like this: secondary infertility. Secondary infertility, what is that? It means you had a child and you can't have another, and we can't explain it. So that brought upon an option. And that option was adoption. Maybe we should look at this, an adoption, if we really want to grow a family. And there were some barriers for me right away. There were some very clear barriers in my way to accepting that journey. And most of them had to do with control. I had thoughts that said, wait a second, I made this one. I made this one. I don't know. How about if there's another one, I don't make it? How do I know? How do I know, Pat, where it's coming from? It can come from anywhere. And these thoughts were barriers to me moving forward. And then one day, God got me alone, like God does, when I need this. And God had this very straightforward conversation with me. He said, Rich, I hate to break the news to you. You did not have much to do. And notice how I selected that word, right? He said, you didn't have much. I didn't say you had little to do. You didn't have much to do. You know, really, all you were, Rich, was a sperm donor. And let's get real. I mean, it was that clear. I was like, all right, okay. I put it together. Rich. You just don't need it. I said, okay. Then God said, Rich, have you taken a look at your family tree recently? You have some issues there. Perhaps it might serve you better if we went outside of that family tree. Oh, okay. All right. I mean, God was making sense, right? So those barriers got out of the way. And on August 2nd, 1996, a little girl was born in Charlotte, North Carolina, to a 16-year-old birth mom. And 28 days later, Carly Michelle Schlentz was my second daughter. Wow. And just like Taylor, she came teaching. She showed up with spiritual lessons right away. And that lesson was this: control is an illusion. Control is an illusion, Rich. You never had it. And if I forget that lesson, if I need a reminder, in my hallway is a piece of art by an artist named Brian Andres. He does story people. So this is hanging in my hallway. If you hold on to the handle, she said, it's easier to maintain the illusion of control. But it's more fun. You just let the wind carry you. You see, Carly Schlentz showed up to teach me to let go of the handle of control, let go of the illusion. Because it was so much more fun when the wind would just carry us along. So 2 lessons. 2 girls show up. Everything you need is already here. Control is an illusion. Another lesson was to embrace affection. To embrace affection. See, I grew up, my formative years were in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. That's when I was born in the 60s. I was impacted in the 70s and 80s. And like a lot of us then, there was not a lot of affection, probably in our families. Pat mentioned that already, right? Especially from the male figures, because they hadn't had any of that model for them. They had it worse, you know. So the phrase "I love you," I do not think I ever heard it growing up. I do not think I ever heard the phrase "I love you" growing up. Now we knew we were loved, but I never heard that phrase. Something told me that's got to change, that when I have my family, that should change. But here's the thing. Because that phrase was so rare and so unfamiliar, it was scary. And it was very weighty. I remember the first time I contemplated saying to somebody was a girlfriend. And I was full of fear because I had to get something in return for that. Right? I mean, I was getting up the courage to say, I love you. But I needed something in return. I mean, imagining a response like, all right. Cool. And that was dreadful, right? We needed, so this phrase was not free. This phrase that was so afraid to say, yet so needed, it really had this weight attached to it. And that's how I worked with it. Yet when these girls showed up, they began to create a space, a safe place, where this word could be exchanged freely, openly, given and received without any type of expectations. And we began that process, that habit, very early on with me saying to them, I love you, I love you, I love you, and then making it part of the conversation, I love you, I love you, I love you. Probably, if we took all the phrases we've ever said in our family growing up, it's probably the phrase that's been used the most. The phrase that I never heard growing up has been the phrase that's been used the most. We text it, we say it, we email it. In 2003, I was working in Charleston. I was away. I sent an email, love and miss you. 2003, so it was 11 years ago. This is Carly. Carly replied to my email, I love and miss you. She said, this is Carly. We just want to say we love you, and here's our responses. Taylor says she loves you so much. End of loves. Mommy says hello, and she loves you very much. End of loves. I say, I love you so much. End of loves. We love you so much. This is the entire email. Do you love us? Answer on email. Write it like this. Answer. Natural communication for her. Just love you so much. Now Friday. So Carly's now 17. Friday, I'm texting Taylor, my oldest daughter. She's 23 now. She lives in New York City. And we're scheduling a time to get a phone call. We schedule phone calls. And so I said to her, okay, great. We'll text you when ready. Love a zillion. She says, love you a zillion plus 64. We had a little game. We made a game growing up. Just like that, we'd say, I love you plus. And you put any kind of number you wanted after. But it was, I love you a million plus, or I love you a billion plus. It was always an added, a bonus round. So my point is this, man, being free to exchange that word, or exchange that phrase has been so powerful. But they gave me the place to do that. They gave me the testing ground that I've never experienced anywhere in my life to just give and receive that word on a regular basis. Now, it's helped me as an adult because I'm able to say it to adults now. I'm able to say it to my friends and my family, I love you. It's such a gift. We should practice that. Find someone near you. Look at them. Jack, I love you, man. I'm going to change it. I love you. Okay. Find somebody. I love you. I love you. I love you. All right. So here's the other side of the section. So embrace affection. The lesson was in word and action. So the other side of that is embrace affection in action. And again, growing up in a time frame when there was very little physical interaction. The physical interaction we received had to do with punishment. So it wasn't something we didn't want to get too close, because if you were at arm's length, in the dinner table, if you were at arm's length, you were always a potential target. So there was very little hugging, touching that was love-based. And again, here's what these girls do. They create this opportunity to have this whole new experience where touching and hugging and sitting on laps and real affection can take place just for the sake of expressing love. Now that starts to impact my life as I get older. That starts to, because not being able or struggling with really showing genuine affection had a negative effect on relationships for me growing up and even in my adulthood. It had a negative impact. And being free of that changed a lot. And I don't know if any of you have seen on YouTube, I think one of the most watched videos is the evolution of dance. The evolution of dance, I don't know if you're familiar with it. But I got this concept that there's the evolution of a male hug. John, come up here. Now, we did not practice this. But here's the evolution of a male hug. Because, just get this. Just work with me. Here's phase one of a male hug. What's up, man? That's pretty close, right? That's phase one, right? Phase two is this. What's up, man? Not yet, right? What's up, man? That's phase two. Phase three of the male hug. What's up, man? See this right here? See this? Put your hand up. This is like a condom. Protection. Protection. Nothing gets past it, nothing. All right. The next evolution. What's up, man? All right. So, actually, one, two, three. So you got the hug, you got the pats, and you got some kind of barbaric. If you can finally get to what we're the embrace. The embrace. You can end with a hug. You can end with a pat, but you have got to hold somebody. It's an embrace. You got to hold somebody. And no patting, no grunting, no. You just got to hold somebody. See, we need that, right? Don't we know that orphanages have higher rates of death because failure to thrive, right? When babies aren't touched, we need affection. And when I didn't have it, much of it in my life, it was impactful negatively. So what the lesson my girls gave me was, you can say I love you, you can hold people, and it can be pure, genuine, and powerful. All right, one more lesson. So my oldest daughter, when she was 6, she came home from school with a report card. And she gave it to me. I'm sorry, she was in 6th grade. She was in 6th grade. She had a report card. I looked at it. Mostly A's, a B, 1 or 2 B's. I never had a report card that good. Ever. She's in 6th grade, she already got it. So I look at it. My eyes scan down. There are what's called behavior scores. You get O for outstanding, U for, or S for satisfactory, and U for unsatisfactory. O, S, U. And I noticed my eyes went bang, right past the A's and B's, right down to this letter score, behavior score that went from a O outstanding to an S satisfactory. I locked in on that thing. I said, Taylor, what happened with this behavior score? Dropped from outstanding to satisfactory. And I remember, she looked confused. She's like, have you seen my grades? I scanned them. Tell me about this behavior score. She said, I don't know. I have no idea. I said, here's going to happen. We're going to find out. We're going to find out what happened to that behavior score, what dropped that score. We're going to come up with a strategy to fix it. I'm going to give you a few minutes to think about it. And while you're thinking about it, I'm going to get my trusty highlighter. I got a highlighter. And on that behavior score, right on, just so she could see the problem I saw. It's sad, but it's real. I walked out of that conversation, I felt pretty strong. I felt, man, I think she knows who's in charge in this house. I was a little puffed up, right? And here's what happened. Maybe 15 minutes later, because I was at that place in my life where things were starting to shift. Things were starting to shift. And the conversation showed up. And the conversation said, this is your problem. I was like, I didn't get that behavior score. It's not my problem. This is your problem, Rich. She's a smart kid. This is your issue that you're working through. I was like, wow. That was truth. So with that conversation, I walked back in her room. I did the only thing I could do. I said, and I am sorry. Those are great scores. This is my issue. Forgive me. So what that principle was, what my daughters gave me an opportunity to do, was simply to say, I'm sorry. This is a spiritual principle. To say, I'm sorry. To own our stuff. Because we all have it. We all have it. But to own it up. To ask for forgiveness. To be genuine and sincere. To say to somebody, man, I'm sorry. I should have been there, like I said. In the future, you can count on me. Follow up with some type of action. Are we sincere? Do we mean it? Are we genuine? And will we make a change? So, 4 simple truths or 4 simple principles that really came from this experience. Now, here's the thing. I'm forever grateful for having daughters. God knew that's what I needed. Before they showed up, I thought I'd have boys. I thought, well, I'd have sons because I know what to do with sons. And now I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do with sons. I would go shopping. The boy would say, what do we do today? I'm like, let's go get some accessories. You need shoes? I don't know. But back then, I didn't know that stuff. So I thought I was having a boy. But God knew what I needed, just like He knows, just like God knows what you need. And He knew that I had spent my life building barriers around my heart, building protection around my heart. Because when a heart is hurt, that's how we respond. That's how we survive experiences early in our life. We build protection. We build walls around our heart. And He knew I needed daughters to help bring that down. I was in counseling one time after they were helping me with this. They didn't know they were helping me. And I was crying. I found myself crying a lot. I said to my counselor, I said, what is up, man? Why am I crying so much? Oh, my God. And this Thank you, I'm crying so much. He said, you're thawing out, Rich. I said, what? He said, you're thawing out. It's been a lot of years, man. You've been, keeping that heart just protected, and you're thawing out. And so I thought, am I going to cry like this the rest of my life? He said, no, you'll get back into balance. You'll be okay. So here's there are labels we carry in life. We carry labels like daddy. We carry labels like mom, mommy. We carry labels like brother, sister, friend, entrepreneur, employee. We carry a lot of labels that some of us share and some of us don't. So really, this conversation, these principles are not about that label. It's about the one theme that we all share. The one theme that we all share, and that is student. See, no matter whatever other label we carry, we have that similarity. We're all students on this journey. And lessons are around us each day for us to gather. Namaste.